I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We can even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
You are listening to Let Him Cook. I'm Dylan Coon, as always joined with Nigel Dyson. We're in the Northwest Bank Studios. Nigel, we are recapping Feast Week, the Players Era, I'll put in air quotes, tournament. We had Maui, the Bad Boy, Mowers, Atlantis, Acrisure, something. There's a billion of these tournaments. Players Era obviously had, I think, the best field, the best teams. And we will recap all three games. We'll talk about some other things that we saw throughout Feast Week. And obviously have a couple of wins. Iowa State goes 3-0 this week in Las Vegas. Nigel, I guess we'll just jump right into it. We were kind of talking last week about are you happy with 2-1? Is 3-0 kind of, went 2-1 in Maui. Now it's time to go 3-0 in one of these. We finally did it, and those teams have kind of struggled. We've lost to Virginia Tech, almost lost to VCU a couple years ago. So it hasn't always been smooth sailing during Feast Week for Ots and the Cyclones. But for whatever reason, this year they kind of put it all together, starting with a really tough team in St. John's. And that was kind of the one that was circled on my calendar. I thought that would be a really good test for Iowa State. And it was a close game throughout, but Iowa State did a lot of good things in that game.
Yeah, no, obviously always nice to go 3-0 during Feast Week. But again, like you said, I kind of said this in previous episodes, but with, this week being a true test, kind of opponents being a little inconsistent up until this point, it was really nice to see how we were able to kind of, push through and really beat subpar opponents. And on a big stage too. There were a lot of big teams there. And obviously we weren't able to play all of them, but the teams that we were put in front of, that's who we had to take down. And again, that's the mentality that I think is important for any team to have. So for them to be able to do that, because it's you can't control you're going to play in the tournament come March. So to just kind of be able to control who's in front of you is definitely my biggest thing I need to be thankful for. No pun intended, for this week. And then obviously, just to see, it was specifically with the St. John's game, how neck and neck it was. It still felt like they had control the whole game, which in previous years, it always hasn't felt like that. Yeah. And obviously, I don't know what it is, but I guess sometimes Iowa State's just better when they're the underdogs. And we were able to really push through. Milan had a great game. And we just really, really kind of, I think we're put on notice this week from the nation because a lot of questions were up in the air with how we were going to look against feasible talent. And then obviously with the departure of last year's guys. So I was really impressed with our group effort. And it just seemed like this team is very connected, which is always good to see too. So obviously, just overall great week. But again, you couldn't start it off better with a win against St. John's.
Yeah, and the thing I was looking at with St. John's, I feel like everybody in their roster is 6'5" or taller. They have a really good front court. Bryce Hopkins, Zuby Ejiofor. They can throw a lot of different looks at you in the front court. Zuby Ejiofor might be the best rebounder in the country. And I would have never guessed in a million years, Iowa State, even after watching that game, definitely wouldn't have predicted it. Iowa State somehow out-rebounded St. John's. I would have put it, if I was a betting man, would have put a lot of money for that not to happen. And then St. John's actually forced more turnovers than Iowa State did. So the identity is kind of flip-flop. St. John's is known as a great rebounding team. We're known as a team that really turns the other team over. And they kind of switched roles, but Iowa State came out on top. And the other thing I was really looking at, this is kind of Blake Buchanan's first test of being thrown in front of a really good front court. And he really held his own. There's a moment, maybe 6 or 7 minutes left in the second half, where Nate Heisey was at the line, and there was some confusion. And then they're like, no, Blake Buchanan's shooting the free throws. Buchanan, not a great free throw shooter on the year, not at least not so far. And stepped out and made them both. And he was even kind of smiling and laughing about it with Heisey before he even stepped to the line. Like, it's fine. Like, I'll knock him down. And he did. And that was kind of a pivotal moment in the game. And to have your big guy go knock down 2 free throws in a moment like that, I felt like that was a pretty big deal for him. And he really did hold his own. I mean, he was on the offensive glass, wasn't backing down from the physicality. I felt like that was a really kind of reassuring look for him.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. You're seeing what a team looks like when they're balanced. And despite, aspects of, parts of the game where people may struggle, when you do have balance on a team, like it's a lot easier to kind of handle those harder moments, or tougher moments, I should say. And you'd be surprised how many people step up to the plate and, actually deliver when the pressure's on, obviously. So it was really good just to see overall, like, again, how well we were connected the entire week, especially with the departure, I shouldn't say departure, but just, the loss of Taman for the last 2 games, to see how that didn't really phase us. And then really Toure kind of just took an opportunity where it was and kind of replaced him essentially, where you didn't feel his absence as much. So again, it just goes to show what the team is made up from, like a mental aspect of, how not essentially how we're going to move on, but how we're going to move forward. So I was really happy to see that. And then obviously, overall, just really, really impressed with Milan this week. Like, I didn't know what that next jump was going to look like for him necessarily. Like, I really needed to see it to like really get a good gauge of it. But to see just like the level of confidence he's now shooting the ball with, the kind of the variety in the shots he's actually taking, you kind of saw it all in this week's performances. So again, want to tip my cap off to Milan, obviously, but again, Toure was also really big for us as well.
Yeah, again, weird tip-off times, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We didn't have a game that started, I think, later than 4 o'clock Central Time the whole week. So a lot of Cyclone fans were at work unless you got the week off for Thanksgiving. But I mean, when Lipsy, it looked like a non-contact injury. I didn't really see it on the offensive side. And then when he was hobbling on defense, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was just like crushing. I was like, no way, dude. Like, are you serious right now? And to see him go down, it was just, this can't be, there's no way. Like, I've seen Tyrese Halliburton like crush my soul not even 6 months ago. And now my favorite college point guard is also like on the floor, like clearly in pain. And one of the most, like, the scariest part for me, he goes back to the locker room, comes back out, and you can visibly see his like eyes are watering. Like, I don't know, like, I was thinking in my head, like, worst case scenario, the athletic staff told him like, hey man, it's really bad. Like, I'm not sure if we're going to, like, I was just thinking like, why would he be, I'm sure it hurt like hell is probably why. But I was just like, my mind immediately went to, there goes the season. I was just like beside myself at work being like, there's no way, man, that like Lipsy goes out this early in the season. He just got healthy, looked fantastic, averaging the most points he's had his entire career. And then to go down in Vegas, that moment was just like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I remember watching that part, and there was a weird calmness about me. Like, I thought he was gonna be all right.
I was on the opposite side of I was cracking.
There's two spectrums.
Bad. Yeah.
But I think, to still get the performance we did out of him when he was playing made me feel good, obviously, about, when he is healthy, the team we can really be. And it's winning those tough games. However, like, to also see a team without him gave me a lot of confidence too. I'm not saying I would prefer Lipsy hurt the rest of the year, but it's always nice to early on see like some real adversity hit you guys, and then kind of see how your guys respond. And they didn't flinch. And again, Heisey came in and played like a 6-year vet, made some big plays on the stretch this week. And then obviously, again, can't get over Toure. Like, the kid is built like a truck. He is in your pocket 90 feet. Pat Bev type of energy with him. But it's just, again, I hope Taman is getting a speedy recovery because we'd love to have him for Purdue. But nonetheless, like I still feel very confident in what we roll out with, just because, again, depth matters and depth at the point guard position matters. So I don't know. I've seen it with a handful of teams where they're starting to play more 2 point guards in the same rotation type of ordeal. So when we do have that, again, it's unbelievable defensive and offensive depth. So to see kind of, even when they're missing each other, they're still going to have an impact on each other. It's really cool. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, and we haven't really talked a whole lot about the format of the Players Era tournament, and rightfully so. A lot of Cyclone fans are pretty fed up about it. Certainly feels like we got the short stick. We were the only 2-0 team that didn't get to play for extra money. But one of the main reasons for that, Iowa State's up 3. St. John's is on their last possession. Cyclones choose not to foul, which I totally agree with. St. John's a bad 3-point shooting team. Zuby Ejiofor throws up a prayer from 30 feet, not even close. I think it was Bryce Hopkins got the offensive rebound, puts in a pointless 2-point. That was for St. John's to cover, too. So if you had money on it, I apologize. That's a bad beat. But also that 2-point differential is the difference between Iowa State and Kansas when it would come down to it. And that is kind of just that shot should not matter. It sucks if you had Iowa State 1.5. But other than that, that should not be a pointless 2-point basket where St. John's still loses. Should not be the deciding factor on who gets $200,000 or $300,000 extra dollars.
Yeah.
And at first,
go ahead.
Well, at first, Seth Berger, who's like the guy who is kind of organizing all this, came out Tuesday night after Iowa State got screwed and said, we're not changing the format next year. Basically got bullied on Twitter for 12 hours. And then he came out the next day and said, okay, you know what? We are going to try something different next year. We got 32 teams anyways. We're going to figure this out. So it will be a different format, but that shot costed Iowa State $200,000 or $300,000, depending on if they would have won the third place game. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no. And again, like I said it before the tournament even started, when you think about the teams that were there, I think in the NIL department, we probably are making the least. So would have really helped.
At least, maybe not the least. There's some bad. We got to be given more money than Rutgers is. I mean, I don't know how they got Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, but
I would be at least asking them.
Bad.
That's for sure. Yeah. Notre Dame is bad, but you have a lot of football money that flows over. So again, it's not. Again, I still feel like we're still at the bottom of, if you're going to count out everyone's payroll, we're at the bottom of that list. I don't know if it's dead last, but still. And again, I think with it being a brand new tournament, initially it's hard to get all these high level teams in one building, and you don't know seeding, and then you don't know what necessarily determines seeding. So you know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily know if it's as easy as Maui, because it seems like it's a lot smaller of a group that's chosen every year. So with this being kind of like more of an amplified selection of teams, it seems a little tough to do it. But again, since people were so not satisfied with it, I'm glad that they're working on their feet and trying to make decisions that are obviously going to make a better situation for schools. But yeah, no, I mean it sucks. But again, this is going to do a lot for us down the road. And obviously, you think back to other tournaments we were in, like a few years ago when we beat Carolina and then we got killed by UConn. Like, there's situations where you do play 3 games and one bad game can throw off what could have been a huge jump for you in the polls. Yeah. Where I feel like, playing in this tournament, the way we did in the teams we beat, and how much we beat teams by, especially like with Syracuse, no Lipsy. Like I really do think, the committee is going to give us the benefit of the doubt and say, Iowa State's legit. And if you want to have a grand scheme, broader view on it, like I feel like that's what matters. And obviously, as much as it is nice for us, our guys to get paid, obviously, you still want to win as many games as you can and win whoever's in front of you.
My other frustration, too, is just looking at that document where it had all the matchups. Took me about 10 seconds. I saw who Kansas was playing, and I was like, are you joking? That's the other thing. It's like, did they even try to give balance? I could have told you as soon as that matchups were announced that Kansas had the 2 easiest games. Yeah. Notre Dame and Syracuse. And Syracuse might be better than some people think. I know Iowa State demolished them, but They took Houston to overtime. They played Kansas pretty close until Kansas ran the score up. But it's like, we're playing St. John's, a team that could be in the running to win the Big East. And Kansas has to play two middle to bottom tier ACC schools. It was like, what are you like? At least try to, and like, I know everybody's got to play somebody. I just felt like it was immediate to me. Kansas had the easiest path, and yeah, they win both games by 10 plus points, and they were playing in the third place game. So it was frustrating to me. It wasn't even like, oh wow, this team just played out of their mind and beat two really good teams and scored more points than we did. No, it was like Kansas played two teams that were not as good as the two teams we played, and they got to play for extra money. So that was my other, it's just like, at least make the matchups a little bit more even.
Do you think that people are, like coaches are essentially setting a boundary of like telling people who are setting up the tournament initially, like we don't want to play league opponents? Like, do you think that's what's going on?
I think the Players Era, I mean, I don't think there were any interconference, not that I can remember, matchups, even in like the third games that were kind of randomized. So I think that was a clear point. But still, I mean, you had like Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee. There are teams from the SEC. There are teams from all over. So like, I feel like Kansas still could have played somebody, even not a Big 12 team, that would have given them a tougher run. Yeah.
No, I mean, you do want to see variety. And again, I wouldn't want to play any Big 12 teams. I wouldn't want film on me this early, especially because, again, with Lipsy's timeline, I don't know what that looks like. And I don't want someone to have a full breakdown of what we did wrong without Lipsy, or what we did wrong with Lipsy. It does cause for a lot of like up in the air type of, I guess, anxieties. But yeah, no, I definitely want to see, I would like to see some better balance and just kind of the structure of the entire event. Like there's a clear path to a championship, and whoever you play in that championship got through the same amount of games you did. Let's roll out the balls and let's have some fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we can move on. We still got two games to go through. Iowa State played Creighton. These two teams scrimmaged against each other. There's, of course, a history between Coach McDermott and Coach Otts. Otts coached under McDermott for quite a few years at Iowa State. So it's cool to see that matchup again. Obviously, two very different games. And I think that just kind of goes to show, like, going forward, these secret scrimmages that are no longer that secret, they're getting televised, and don't put a whole lot of stock into them. I know it's fun to kind of see these, like, Power 5 schools play each other in secret scrimmages, but clearly they don't really matter. You're not showing your best stuff in these secret scrimmages. So it was reassuring to me that Iowa State looked so good. Obviously, they didn't go 0 for 14 from 3. That helps. But another interesting thing is, I think a lot of people going into it were like, well, we'll have Taman this time. We didn't have Lipsy in the scrimmage. We don't. And Killian Toure, like you were saying, Nigel, had his best game, really his two best games back-to-back in Vegas after Lipsy goes out. I think had 20 points against Creighton. And I was just laughing. Josh Dix, when he was at Iowa as a freshman, just got locked up by Keyshawn Gilbert. Like, couldn't get past half court. Fran McCaffrey benched him, I think, for like until the second half. And then what does Killian Toure do 2 years later? Locks him up, not going anywhere, pick in his pocket. I was like, Josh Dix can't catch a break against us. Maybe he should have transferred to Iowa State so he wouldn't have to play Iowa State's defense, because Killian Toure was making it hard on him. And that's the other, like, he's defending the other team's best player while scoring 20 points. And that's another, like, that's crazy. That is such a high bar for a freshman. That's such a hard thing to do. And just went out and played a really good game against Creighton.
Yeah, and it's ironic because it's almost like Toure was like, that's how a freshman plays basketball, kind of taking a subliminal shot at Mr. Josh Dix there. But I as much as we're going to give credit to just Killian, I mean, like, I'm proud of our entire defense. We held two starters to goose eggs. Like, that's not easy to do. And obviously, again, another game where we felt like we were in control the whole time. Like, even Syracuse, it was a little shaky, but then we turned it up in the second half. But again, this was another opportunity where, we were able to showcase how balanced we are. Taman isn't he's the heartbeat of our team, but it's like we have an identity outside of him as well. And there's also added motivation of like, hey man, last time we didn't play him without Taman and we got waxed. What are you guys going to do about it? Like it's a simple motivator that goes a long way. And again, it does help when you're not playing in Omaha. You're playing on a neutral site, probably with better rims. There's probably better depth perception in there. It's overall just probably a less hostile environment because there's a mix of fans as opposed to just Creighton people. So again, I think environment matters. I love that we're able to kind of get a feel for neutral environments so early on into the season. Because I think if you're not, it can really throw you off come the most important time of the year. But again, another like well-balanced scoring like output by the rest of the guys. I mean, Joshua Jefferson was unbelievable. I know on Twitter he was getting a lot of Royce White comparisons, just with how well he's able to bring the ball up, pass, score at will and use his body. And you just kind of saw all of that in real time, and it was really nice to see. But yeah, Toure, he's going to be a problem. I could see with a lot of Big 12 teams there, I could see a lot of people probably scratching their heads. Like Lipsy's going to be hard enough to tame if he's healthy. Put another one in, put someone who has the same motor and like tenacity as him right next to him. God help me. That's got to be a very stressful scouting report for them.
Yeah, and like the Big 12 kind of coming into the year, it was Darren Peterson, it was AJ DeBonsa. Kingston Flemings looked fantastic in the Las Vegas this week. Like, I mean, just numbers wise, I know Killian Toure wasn't as highly touted coming into the year, but he's right at the same level as all three of those freshmen. Like, I know he doesn't have the stars and the notoriety that those other three guys do in the Big 12, but like, you can't tell me right now that he's not on the same level as those guys. He's playing out of his mind. So that's another thing where it's like, you trust TJ Otzelberger at this point. Like what he sees in guys, he's so good at evaluating talent. He's so good in the portal. Like even if they don't have the 5 stars and all this going along with them, you trust it. Toure is exactly the guard that Iowa State needs. He is like a carbon copy of Lipsy. I mean, it's just like you had Taman Lipsy, who's this great defensive, true point guard for 4 years. And it's like, well, what are we going to do when, he graduates? I think we're figuring it out. I think we have something to go on with Toure. And like you said, Joshua Jefferson, this is just how good we did in Las Vegas is like Joshua Jefferson's not getting brought up until 20 minutes into the show. And right now I just made sure to get this right. Kent Palm and his player of the year standings, Joshua Jefferson is second right now behind your boy, Cameron Boozer. And he's ahead of guys like just Yaxel Lendenborg at Michigan. They blew everybody out in Vegas. Caleb Wilson, Braden Smith, PJ Haggerty, Oscar Clough, JT Toppin, like all of these big name guys in college basketball. And right now, Joshua Jefferson is outperforming them. So, man, and also with Lipsy being out, Jefferson's going to have a lot more responsibility. I think he could get maybe a triple-double at some point if Lipsy's out because he just takes on so much of the playmaking responsibility too. Again, with those Royce White, even like a George Niang point forward, like Iowa State loves guys like that, and some of our best players have been point forwards. And he's just on a different level right now. He's finding guys that are open, like the hook, like cross-court passes, the dump-offs to Buchanan in the low post. Like he is just seeing the court. He's an elite passer. Like he's just a special player.
Yeah, no, and it's I know Joshua Jefferson's a big LeBron fan, and you're seeing spurts of it in his game. Like to see someone who's that well of a 3-level scorer, but also kind of well-rounded in his game, just in kind of a whole. And also, let's not forget, like that was his homecoming. Like he was playing in front of a lot of friends and family, and that's sometimes all the motivation you need. Throw Creighton in front of you, who kind of popped you a few weeks ago. I mean, again, there's a lot of fuel to that fire, and you really saw it in real time. And I was really pleased just to see again the overall effort from everybody. Even with Milan like not taking as many shots, still had a very efficient day as well. Blake, really solid game against Creighton as well. And even Heisey stepping into a starting role, like held his own. So again, I love to see that we have such an identity outside of Taman, because it definitely does give you some more confidence, and it makes people scratch their heads when they thought they had us figured out, and then it's like you throw another tool at them, and now they don't know what to do. And I think we left a lot of teams scratching their heads when they were playing us this week.
Yeah, Iowa State, like you said, led by double digits the entire second half. It was kind of an easy, non-stressful win. I do want to shout out one Creighton player, and I heard on the broadcast that McDermott was even thinking about redshirting him this year, Hudson Greer. I wonder if he starts at some point. He came in and played with a lot of moxie. He was taking tough shots and hitting them. I think he had 12 points against us. Off the bench, 20 minutes, 12 points. That's nothing to scoff at. So I wonder, and Creighton's down one of their best players, Mick Andrews, is a starter for them. And he was just announced that he's out for the season right before this tournament. But like I said, Lipsy goes out and, a day before this game, and Iowa State is still able to figure out a game plan and look really good against Creighton. So that like 2 great wins in a row. And then this is another, I don't want to keep harping on the Players Era tournament, but Iowa State played this game so early in the day. It's like, okay, we have a 19-point differential. And then I was getting all these like screenshots of like, okay, if this happens and then this happens, but this doesn't happen, we'll be in the third place game. It's just like, put us in a bracket, damn it. Like I can read a bracket with my eyes closed. I don't want to have to be thinking about like if Tennessee wins by 11, but they don't win by more than 13, we're fine. Yeah. It's just, what are we doing? Like it's too much.
Yeah, and like again, I'm not gonna put past the location of this tournament and how easy it is to mess with spreads of games in general. And again, too, like if you're a team that just doesn't want to see a certain team in the championship, out of spite, you could like sit on the clock. You could sabotage something, and it just leaves too much control in like what should be looked at as like, I guess, control. Like it's something that doesn't really matter, but they're making it matter so much, and it's like that also doesn't make any sense. I used to hate when they did this, like when we were in AAU tournaments, and you like would lose a game at 8 a.m. and then you'd play 2 games, you'd win those, and then your coach is like, all right, we got the championship at 4. I'm like, how does that work? I thought we were in the losers bracket. What's going on? And again, it's because a point differential. So again, like I think sometimes when people just want to get people to an event, get teams to an event, so it gets a lot of eyeballs on the screen, sometimes the structure isn't always the best. And again, you have a full year to reevaluate what we can do better. I would rather have a bracket that's on steroids than just like essentially, be a prop or just do like actual pool play, like for a game, make it out of that pool, and then you start a bracket. I don't know how it's going to work. It's not my responsibility to know how it's going to work, but I would love to see some changes, just because I know if it doesn't frustrate us next year, it's going to frustrate somebody else, and then there's going to be more complaints. So fix it while it's early before it gets too chaotic to even try to attack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the Big 12, I think it came out Sunday or maybe even Monday morning that they kind of struck a deal with the Players Era. So to my understanding, it'll be the top 8 teams in the Big 12 standings from the previous year have an automatic bid to the Players Era tournament. And that is cool. Like this will kind of be, you'll always see at least 8 teams in the Players Era tournament from the Big 12. It'll kind of feel like, hey, this is our thing. You'll almost always see at least 1, 2, 3 Big 12 teams have a lot of success in Vegas. And also, I do think it's the way of the future to be handing out NIL money as kind of incentivize these teams to, really go the extra mile and try even harder. Like, I think they should do that for bowl games. I think if Maui is concerned about their future, start handing out NIL money. Like, that's how you get these coaches. That's how you get these programs here so they can give their guys a bump in cash. And so I do think there are some things of the Players Era tournament that are going to be great moving forward. There's just got to be some fine tuning so that a team like Iowa State does everything right. They beat a great St. John's team, beat Creighton by 18 points convincingly, and they still don't have the opportunity to play in the third place game. Like, there's just got to be a little bit of something to make it feel a little bit more fair.
Yeah, and it's balance. I think, again, without a bracket, there is no balance, and there is no like black and white, which you kind of need that aspect of it to not to essentially kind of avoid all these outbursts and outrage from fans and other teams. So hopefully they find something that'll work and that'll be fair to everybody, like you said, and then we can go win another. Hopefully go 3-0 next year and actually win this bad boy. Because it did piss me off to hear Michigan. Then when they won, they were like, "No one can beat us." And I'm like, buddy, first of all, it's like November.
Yes.
Second of all, like, you scored more points, and I think they beat the brakes off of Gonzaga. Like, it was, I guess that was already the championship, so it didn't matter at that point. But it's like, if we're just going to start chucking just to make it an all-star game, so that we're guaranteed a spot in the championship, like, that's also not the formula either. So if you're out there and you win the Players Era tournament in this format, I don't know if you're the person to be making those statements, because God forbid you lose in the Sweet 16. I'm using that. I got that bookmarked already.
Yeah, ask Jalen Rose and Chris Webber. Like they thought they were going to win back-to-back championships at Michigan. Didn't quite work out that way. So, declaring that you can beat anybody. Michigan almost lost to TCU like 2 weeks ago. So, pump the brakes a little bit. Yeah. And Michigan, they did. They looked really good in Las Vegas. Maybe they did get their turnover problem figured out, but a lot of season left before you start making declarations like that. I'm sure Dusty May wasn't too pleased about his players' comments.
Yeah, but it's you definitely want to take the high road and just get the money and get out. That's what you should do anytime you're in Vegas, whether you're playing basketball at the table. Get your money and leave. You don't make statements on the way out. That's how they break your fingers in like the movie Casino. It's just not a good form of business. It's a business trip. Go home.
Take the $1 million. Walk out of the place like you stole something. Back on the jet, get back to Ann Arbor. We do have one more game, and like I said, Syracuse looked really good in their first two games. I watched a lot of that Syracuse-Houston game, and if Syracuse wasn't abysmal from the free throw line, they would have won that game in regulation. And also, if Kingston Flemings didn't look like Houston's best player, I'm not sure Houston wins that game. So also, it just felt like a huge letdown spot. Like, it was kind of clear that Iowa State wanted or was hoping to be in at least the third place game. You don't get it. And then kind of Tuesday night, we're speculating, who could we play tomorrow? Alabama's still there. Auburn is there. I was kind of hoping it would be a ranked kind of one of the better teams left in Vegas that didn't make the third place game. Then it gets announced we're playing Syracuse at noon, and you're like, I don't like. It's just like hard to get up for that after like you played so well against these first two teams, and then it's like that surprise at the end of the tunnel is Syracuse at noon. So but like I said, you beat the brakes off of them. Like first half, like you said, a little sketchy. Syracuse shot uncharacteristically well from the 3-point line. I think they were 50% from three at halftime as a team, which is ungodly. And they're not even a good 3-point shooting team. So it's like at some point, those shots aren't going to fall. And the second half is when that started. That second half was wild. That might be the best 20 minutes Iowa State plays all year. It was just crazy to watch.
Yeah, no, and again, I hope it isn't the best 20 minutes we play all year. I hope we can like match that.
It was insane.
Hey, man, I hope we can match it. That's all. But again, like you said, to play a team like that is like, again, as much as you can't, it's hard to get excited for that, right? But it's also like you don't want to overlook them as well. And I was glad that we were able to kind of handle their pressure. They kind of looked like they were playing desperate basketball, especially in that first half. Like you have to. As a ACC fan, most of my life, like to see Syracuse pressing, I was like, "What do you guys? What? You don't do this? Get back in the 2-3." Like, so to see their complete identity kind of change was definitely a little rattling for me. But again, I think we handled it well. To still go into half, still up 1, like that was a huge motivator for me. I was like, we didn't play a great half, and we still are up by 1. I hope you pull away from this, and they did exactly that. Like they doubled their scoring, they overlapped Syracuse in scoring in the second half, and it was just really good to see, man. To see Milan once again step into I'm gonna be the guy type of role, get his first dunk, rim grazer. Yeah, he took all the muscles in his legs for that one, but it happened.
Same on the scoreboard.
the picture looked great.
Yeah.
All I know is just the way he was able to shoot the ball was really impressive. And obviously, again, Killian came in and handled his own 19 points. Joshua still solid performance. If Blake and Joshua can kind of flirt with the 10 to 15 a game, and Milan and Toure can continue to elevate into these new roles. Second we get Tatum back, it's going to be a problem. I really like how balanced this team is, and it was something we did not have all the time with Jackson last year because of the lack of rebounding or the lack of scoring. You were only getting one every game, where it's
Right.
when I'm looking at Blake, it's I can get more from him from an offensive end, from a defensive end, really from a glue guy end too. It's having him and Nate Heisey on the floor. You have two glue guys. So to be able to kind of have that supporting cast around big time players like Milan, Joshua, Killian, it's so uplifting to see. And then our bench was solid against Syracuse too. I mean, 12 points from Nelson. Bateman had some good minutes as well too. So again, it's just really nice to see.
Yeah, and I think Milan said this to Jeff Goodman after the game. He's like, we're a scary team. And Milan, he's been around the past 2 years. When we were really good with Keyshawn and Kurt, he's been around a really good basketball team. So I think it says something that one of your kind of veteran leaders is hey man, we're getting scary. This team's really good. And yeah, he was just having fun. He was they got an offensive rebound. He was 40 feet away from the basket. He was heat check, missed it. But it was just that's where the game was. It was I'm going to throw this up there because it doesn't even matter at this point. We're up 27. I think I would say ended up winning by 30 exactly, or 31 points. So that game got out of hand in a hurry. I don't know what TJ said at halftime, but maybe run that back when we need it, because whatever he said, it worked.
I think TJ's overall message at halftime was, I would assume it was intense, because that's just one of those games. It's all right, wake up, let's get out of here with a win, and let's get out of here with a convincing win. So maybe it was hey, Carmelo Anthony, Lala Anthony, front row, let's ruin their day. Let's make them go home pretty sad. And I think we did just that. We put on a show for them. I know if Lala Anthony was sitting front row at my game, I'd be pulling. I'd be chucking shots. So I understand. Okay. Milan clearly saw the vision. Toure clearly saw the vision, and I'm safe to say it worked, obviously. So just a really solid win. And again, it's always nice to kind of, at this feast week time, kind of put your team on the radar, just so people kind of do give you their best shot. But it's that's how you can better gauge where you're at, because people are giving you your best shot. So again, really just overall really satisfied with our time in Vegas, and obviously hoping we can just build off of this. Yeah,
in a tournament all about point differential, Iowa State through 3 games, I think, had a plus 50. So, you're winning games average of 17 points. I know we only beat St. John's by 1, but just 3, good teams, and the net rankings aren't out yet, but I would imagine we're looking at quad 1, quad 2 wins that we'll pick up in Vegas. So, just a really good 3-game stretch from Iowa State. And I think sets us up nicely going forward in the non-conference. The one thing that I kind of wish Iowa State got to see, you saw some really physical teams. Syracuse really got after us. Like you said, they're pressing us in the first half. They have a lot of athletes. Mississippi State kind of had that same build, but we haven't really gone up against an elite offense. St. John's is a good offense. Creighton's a good offense. But Purdue is kind of going to be our first look at an elite offense. And that's why I wanted to play Alabama, is let me see how we do against a team that really wants to get out and run, make it a track meet. Let's see how the defense does. And that's why I was a little disappointed in the draw on Wednesday, because I was I feel like Iowa State has kind of proven to be one of the better teams here. Let's try to get them kind of a really good matchup, put them in prime time. How about we play Syracuse at noon? And it was just kind of what? But
well, I also peeped that when it comes to St. John's, it was the second they lost to us, they started downplaying who they were.
Yeah.
We have a lot of issues. We're not that good. And it's oh, but a week ago you were, what happened? And it's right. I don't necessarily know if that plays into consideration of who we played. But I think with it being so I guess easy to manipulate, this structure of a tournament, it makes it hard to see It almost feels like as good as of a win that St. John's was to some people because of things that St. John's was saying about themselves. Like it was almost disvalued, or like there was value taken away from it. And I don't know if that had something to do with it. Is all I'm saying. Like I don't know if that played into us not getting a shot at a better team. Obviously in that third game.
Yeah, and like I think obviously going forward, Iowa State should be cheering for all three teams that we beat in Vegas. I still think St. John's, I feel like the Big East is a little bit down this year. You got UConn, obviously. They were beating the hell out of Illinois. I don't know if they still are. We're recording this Friday at about 1 o'clock right now, but I think UConn is the clear favorite to win the Big East, but St. John's is right there in second place of fighting for second. And then hopefully Syracuse can surprise some people in the ACC. I don't know kind of what they were looked at going into the season, but they surprised me in Vegas how tight they played Houston and Kansas. So hopefully they can make some noise because, yeah, obviously these are resume wins. So it's only better if they continue to win. Pitino's got figured out. He's too good of a coach. They've got too much talent on that team for them to just totally fall apart, I think, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but then you see teams like Florida who crapped their pants last night against former Hawkeye Brock Harding.
Yeah, shout
out to TCU. It's a good league win, and obviously would love to see Florida kind of be exposed for the weaknesses that they do have, because I think for a long time they were kind of looked at as like the numerous or unanimous favorite. So again, it's always good to see that teams are, have weaknesses and you can attack those. But again, I think a lot of teams are realizing, all right, as much NIL as money as we have, as much returners that we are able to accumulate from last year's team, like it doesn't really matter. It matters about gel and like who's actually going to work well together, which is why I think we are working well together. Like the team likes each other. You can tell that they enjoy playing with each other, and that's half the damn battle. Like when you start to put and prioritize money over everything that you're doing as a team, that can sometimes ruin it. It's very rare where you're able to afford everyone you want and also win at a high level, and there be no problems. So obviously you want to see those teams try to turn it around. But I mean, I think there's a deeper lesson in this of like NIL money is always going to be there. It's going to affect how some teams operate, but it's not always going to equate to winning.
Yeah, and you even saw people like involved in the Iowa State program. I think their SID, the men's basketball SID, Workman, like tweeted like you won't find a more connected team right now. And you could, the bench is going crazy. TJ, like Milan came in for a handshake and TJ just like bear hugged him. Like this team, like everything's working right now. And obviously winning helps. It's easy to get along when times are good. But I think there is a lot of stuff going forward. Yeah, like going out, that's your senior point guard leader of the team, goes out. This team doesn't lose a beat. They respond. They win their next two games by a total of 48 points. Like it's a really good feeling right now. And I was telling you, like halfway through that second half of Syracuse, I'm going to talk reckless about this Iowa State team. And I don't know what the spread's going to be against Purdue. And you obviously hope Taman can play in that one, but like, let's give him a shot. Like that, if the Iowa State wins that game, there is no reason we shouldn't be looked at as the favorite in March. Like that, Purdue right now is the team. If you go into their arena and beat them, why not us? And there's some arbitrary things I was seeing. I do like paying attention to this stuff because it's just sicko basketball stuff, but it's like the last, I think 20 champions have been undefeated by Thanksgiving. And then the top 22 in offense and defense in Ken Pom. Iowa State's one of 6 teams that meets that criteria. And like that's been true for the last 20 teams that have been in that mark at this time. So I'm saying there's a chance. I think Iowa State was there last year too. We would have lost to Auburn. So maybe
we weren't
before Thanksgiving. So
yeah.
Well, spicy.
There's a chance.
Something to think about. Something to think about.
I don't want to put too much thought in it because then I'm going to get disappointed if it doesn't happen. But I see where your head's at. Nonetheless, like Purdue gives me such, and this isn't a white guy trope. All right, I want to let you guys know that. But they give me such 2015 Wisconsin vibes. Like they could make the Natty, but I just don't see them doing it all. As good as they are, I think every team has weaknesses. And sometimes those older teams, they do enough to get there, but sometimes don't have enough to get over the hill. You know what I mean? And I don't know how well, like Braden Smith is playing well now because he's a true senior. He's had the ball in his hand since freshman year. It makes sense why he is the player he is. But there's a lot of people that on that team that, you know, outside of Foster Lawyer, is it Foster Lawyer?
Fletcher.
Who's Fletcher Lawyer? That's his older brother is Foster. But Fletcher Lawyer, like outside of those two, I don't know too many people who really got those natty reps, like when they made the national championship a few years ago. And again, even with that team, in my opinion, it was a lot better than this team. So if you can't win with that team, you're suspicious. I don't know how much real confidence I have in you. I have respect for you because of your pedigree, your resume, the people you're able to get in the portal. So again, that's going to be another big test. I think that might be the biggest test. That's the final exam for this semester of Iowa State basketball. But we definitely passed the midterms, so I'm glad we were able to obviously keep Purdue on their toes going into that, so they're not kind of just like laying low and kind of underestimating us. Like I would like to have their best shot to really gauge where we're at going forward.
Yeah, and as long as Iowa State takes care of business against Alcorn State, who I think is winless on the season, both teams will be undefeated. They play on Conference Championship Saturday. All the conference championships in football will be that day. Guess who's not watching a lick of football that Saturday, Nigel? This guy. Bunch of great basketball on that Saturday. I was telling Aiden before the show, I just totally forgot Nebraska and Iowa play each other today. It's basketball season. I'm so locked in on.
I almost don't care.
Yeah,
one could argue.
Yeah, and so that'll be a super fun game. There's a bunch of heavy hitters that Saturday all across the country in college basketball. So a great day for hoops heads. A couple other I was watching a little bit of Maui. The field was a little bit down this year. We were giving TCU their praise. Arizona State would be kind of sneaky fun. Mo Odom can fill it up. He's like a kind of undersized shooting guard. That guy's a walking bucket. He's just a bunch of fun to watch. They made it all the way to the championship game in Maui, lost to USC. And Nigel, you're not going to believe it. I still hate Chad Baker-Mazara. He's still flopping around like a fish. He's still arguing with refs for 20% of the time he's on the court, exasperated at every call that doesn't go his way. It sucks watching that guy. He's like calling ISOs with 12 seconds left on the shot clock. It sucks. Rodney Rice is kind of USC's other kind of top player, and he was out. So Chad Baker-Mazara was just on like a power trip. Brutal to watch. Just a brutal watch of USC right now.
Didn't he win MVP too for Maui?
Yeah, sure did. And back-to-back champion because he won it with Auburn last year.
We are in the darkest timeline.
Yeah.
He was
born in the 1990s, Nigel. It's 2025.
Yeah. He's older than me, and I've been out of school for 3 years now. So
disgusting.
Makes you think.
Get a job, Chad.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can. Because if you could, by now you would.
A lot of people go to college for 8 years and they're called doctors. Chad Baker-Mazara is not getting his doctorate, Nigel. There's no way.
No. He's getting a G League contract loading this summer. So
maybe
Godspeed, brother.
Flopping, a PhD in overacting.
A FIBA national team for the Bahamas invite is about his ceiling. So I'm not gonna be worried about twigs that aren't in my way just yet. But if we run into USC at any point in the tournament, especially, would love to have my best shot at that guy.
Yeah, run it back. Also, I was hoping another team. I would have loved to play Auburn on that Wednesday game just to get some Maui revenge. I mean, obviously Auburn's not on the level they were last year, but would have loved to get another shot at them just to kind of get that bad taste out of our mouth from Janai Broom's kind of last-second shot in Maui. Mm-hmm. That would have been another fun matchup.
Yeah. I have a funny story about Janai Broom. I was at a Bally's Casino downtown Chicago, and I'm walking out, and in comes Janai Broom and Miles Kelly. And Janai Broom is walking in with a bag full of money. And I was like, Janai, what up, man? Can I get a pic? He was like, no. And then I turned around and I was like, Cooper Flagg, walked your ass. then I just kept walking. And then it's funny because I've now done that to two people. I've done that to Janai Broom and Greg Oden, because I asked Greg Oden for a picture when I was at Ohio State last year when they were playing Iowa. And he said no. And then he walked away, and I was like, Joakim Noah walked your ass. And, they weren't reactive in the moment. But before they went to bed, they lied down and said, he did walk my ass. They thought about it. That was brought up in therapy, probably, I would assume.
Yep. Joakim Noah, shout out. They don't make guys like Joakim Noah anymore, Nigel.
They don't.
Damn shame.
They don't. That to be at the University of Florida in 06, 07, to have Tebow, Joakim, like they would hang out together. Could you imagine? I would love to be a fly on the wall.
The vibes.
Oh.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Florida, I've been a hater on Florida. Like they lost their 3-headed dragon backcourt, those 3 guards. That's the reason they won the championship. People wanted to sell me on Alex Condone, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, their 4th best player? I'm like, what? The other thing I was going to bring up about Purdue is they're going to lose Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Trey Kaufman-Renn, and they come to Hilton Coliseum next year. So I kind of wish the home and home was flipped. I would have loved to get their best shot at Hilton, because I'm sure Painter will reload Purdue and be a fine team next year, but I don't think they'll be the same kind of star power that they have this year.
Yeah, they'll lack experience, but I don't think Matt Painter would have signed this deal had he not gotten home court advantage with this team. Like a lot of strategic moves as well. Coaches know the years are going to be rebuilding. And I know you definitely don't want to go into Ames when you're rebuilding, because we'll destroy you.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Or were there any other teams that kind of stuck out to you Feast Week? I'm trying to kind of go through my mind. I liked what I saw from Arizona State. TCU got a big win yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I didn't like the comments Michigan made after, I think they're going to be a really good team. Yeah. I'm going to be very excited to see Michigan State this year. Because I think Michigan State was able to, despite the loss to they beat Carolina yesterday. Despite they've been playing a pretty solid season, but again, I'm just curious to see who really is going to come out of the Big Ten, because you can't just talk about Purdue. You got to talk about the 2 Michigan schools, and obviously Illinois is a sleeper or a dark horse in their conference as well too. So really excited just to see who's gonna really make it out of I should say the crab bucket. When there's so many people who have a shot. But also, again, I'd be dumb to not say I'm not impressed with Cameron Boozer right now. That kid's unbelievable.
How many points do you have against Arkansas? It was more than 30.
35. Tied his career high. Everyone else kind of didn't show up. I would not want them to be that team that is so dependent on one guy. Because come March, you become very predictable. So hopefully they can find kind of their rhythm within their role players and get back to kind of a balanced offense. That's what makes a good team, and that's what makes a good national champion as well. So hopefully they can get there. It seems like Iowa State's already there. So I just want to continue this going forward and see where it takes us.
Yeah, and I think the 2 options for Lipsy is bring him back for Purdue and Iowa are back-to-back. So if he feels good to go before Purdue, I think you send him out there. But if he's not, I think you wait until Big 12 starts. If you lose to Purdue at Purdue, unless you get beat by 45 points, nobody's going to look at it any kind of way. Purdue's expected to win that game. Hopefully you can beat Iowa without Lipsy. I would put Iowa on the same level, probably a little bit better than Creighton, but if we played as well as we did the last 2 games, right? I mean, they have Josh Dix and Owen Freeman. We did beat Iowa already. Yeah. So hopefully you can survive Iowa without Lipsy, and then I think you wait until the Big 12 season, because you got 3 more kind of low major teams, and then I think West Virginia is a conference opener. So that's kind of the look ahead of the non-conference. You got 1 in between Purdue and Iowa, and then you got 3 more. And then you got Big 12 play starting. So that's kind of what they got left. Yeah. And again, I'm very excited, and I'm very satisfied with how many competitive games just around college basketball there have been already, to where it didn't. Feast Week was good, but it didn't feel like it was all we had in the non-conference season. So again, this is the point. It's to get more eyeballs on the sport, to compete with college football, to compete with NFL, to compete with the NBA. It's gonna grow the game.
And obviously, within our nation, I feel like we need to definitely grow the game, and we're definitely on the right trajectory.
Yeah. And the last shot at Players Era Tournament, I promise I'm going to like it at some point in my life. They should find a smaller gym to play this in. You're not going to get 20,000 people showing up for the Players Era Tournament.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of gyms in Las Vegas. There's got to be something that feels a little more like Maui, where you can pack these places, have it feel like a big environment, even though it's in a small arena. That would be my, 15,000 empty seats doesn't really do it for me.
They should do like Bishop Gorman High School. I know that's like
literally
in Henderson, Nevada, I think, or like right outside of Las Vegas. I think that would be a really cool place because they got like they're nationally ranked obviously every year, but they still have the facilities to like upkeep an event like that. So I think, again, like you said, I agree with the smaller gym. It makes a better atmosphere, and it doesn't look as empty. Like there were several comments my family was making, like no one's at the game, and ideally it is Thanksgiving week and times are hard in the economy, so I get not everyone has money to spend on games right now, but it does kind of show that maybe it's the environment that's the problem and not really the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like Maui, it feels so iconic because it is such a intimate environment. Like I was still, even though the teams weren't that great this year, it's still fun to watch. There was a player for Washington State he's a freshman, I think, had like 40 points. Him and Mo Odom were going like bucket for bucket. Just like weird stuff happens there. And I know there's like a lot of concern about Maui. It'll be fine. I really do. It's just such a integral part of college basketball. And if they're serious about wanting to stay in that realm, I think all you got to do is give a couple $100,000 in NIL and you'll be back to where you were.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I totally agree.
Nigel, you got any shots before we get out of here? We got Alcorn State next week, and then it starts to pick up again with Purdue and Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, you got a warm-up game, open gym, and then two big dogs. I never want to give the second I look over Iowa is the second they turn into the Golden State Warriors. So I'd rather not. I want to treat both those games with the same level of intensity. But again, a great warm up to keep our skills intact, give Taman some rest, and obviously continue to show people that we're a really good basketball team. So just excited for basketball to keep picking up speed, and looking forward to it.
A great 3 days in Vegas. Iowa State is your number 4 team in KenPom right now. Keep rolling. That's all I got. Go Cyclones. A great week in Vegas.
Yes, sir.